There we are. Happy Thursday, folks. Welcome back. Last Thursday in May. Can you believe it, folks? Don't be shy. Say hi in the chat. Make sure before you do to turn it to all panelists, all attendees. Oh, I can't type today. There we go. Very excited to have our special guests with us today. Hello, everybody. Well, let us know where you're coming from. We'll get started in a couple minutes. Here we go. They're coming in strong now. Hello, Toronto, Chicago, aloha. Tanzania, welcome back. Colorado. Yep, folks, for those who are coming in, please do change over your chat to all panelists, all attendees. This way folks get to see where you're coming from, your great questions, comments, anything like that. Hello, Hawaii. Some more Toronto. Whoa, guys, quick on the chat today. This is amazing. It is beautiful here in Toronto, sunny, warm, lovely. Minus yesterday's weather, but needed. It's been absolutely stunning here. For those of our friends down in the States, we had Monday was a Canada, sorry, my goodness. Monday was a vacation day here in Ontario. So we had the day off. It was really nice, beautiful weather. I think you guys have it this coming Monday, Memorial Day, if I'm wrong. Hello, Michigan, Massachusetts, Florida, New Jersey. I hope everyone's doing well. Hello, sunny California. Trinidad, welcome. Excellent, great to see some folks. I'm excited for our special guests today. We're welcoming Diana and Stephanie back from Play to Grow. Hope you're excited to be here. Folks, if you haven't, first off, follow us on social media. You can follow us on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, as well as follow Diana, Stephanie. Their Instagram page for Play to Grow is fantastic. Some great resources come out of there. So if you haven't followed them, you should. Really recommend. Highly. If you haven't joined our Facebook page, our Facebook group, it's called Circle Time. Would love to have you. Please do check us out. There's a couple of questions, folks, that you please do answer. It's there to keep the group safe. So to get accepted into the group, you do need to answer those couple of questions, please. Give you guys a minute or two more. Hello, Saskatchewan, some more California, Zimbabwe, welcome, Virginia. Glad to see all you folks here. Welcome, welcome. For those who are just joining us, please do make sure your chat's to all panelists, all attendees. To change it over, all you have to do is just hover over where it says to, and usually it says all panelists when you come in, just drop it down and select all panelists, all attendees. This way everyone can see where you're coming from, see all your great comments, those sorts of great things. So otherwise, to be honest, Kaya and I are the only ones who get to see all your fabulous comments otherwise, so. Hello, Palm Springs, Washington, welcome folks, Texas. Give you guys a minute or two more. I know we were a minute or two late opening up the room, so not to worry. We have tons of time. Very excited to be talking a little bit more about getting ready for kindergarten, especially this year. It's kind of a weird time. Hello, Jamaica, South Dakota. Welcome, folks. Kaya, someone had asked about our Twitter. We do have the Hi Mama app on Twitter. You can follow if you'd like. She just posted it. Hello, first time. Welcome. A couple of first timers. One more minute, and then we'll get into the housekeeping pieces, and then we'll jump into all the fun, which is what we're really here for. Hello, Michigan, Scarborough. I've seen quite a few folks from Toronto. Glad to have everyone here. I love seeing the chat come through. Great fun. Alrighty, folks. I think we're just about time. A couple more first-time joiners. Welcome. This is exciting. Hello, Nova Scotia, Palm Beach, South Carolina. Fantastic. All right. I think we should get into the mix of some of the housekeeping pieces before we bring on our special guests here today. Hello from Saskatchewan. Welcome. If you have never been with us, welcome to Hi Mama Helps webinar series. Today we're talking a little bit more about kindergarten readiness. I'm excited to be having a little more conversation around this and just talking about what's to come, especially in the light of COVID. Hopefully places are starting to feel a little calmer, a little more relaxed as we do, open up things here in Ontario. It's, we're working on it. We're getting there eventually. So let's take care of some of those housekeeping pieces as always. But for our new folks, especially if you've never been with us before, just please always know that this is not, personalized legal, financial advice of any kind. Trust me, the last person you would like to get legal or financial advice from. But as well, this is not advice specifically around any of your, licensing information, things like that. If you're looking for different rules, regulations, or any financial legal advice, make sure you're considering it from the right person, AKA not myself. The idea around our webinars is we want you to take away great tips, tricks, techniques, things you can implement within your classroom, within your center as well. So we're going to listen up to our quick land acknowledgement here.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
We're also just going to give a quick listen to our diversity and inclusion statement.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Couple more housekeeping things, folks. The session is fully recorded. So if you do have to hit the road halfway through for whatever reason, or you can't stay for the whole session, not to worry. You will get a recording made available to you. So we know that many of you do work on the floor during this time and you're taking an hour to be with us. So thank you, thank you. Next up, if you do need some closed captions, there's a CC tab. You can pop that on. We're also recording with the closed captions on for those of you who may need it for whatever reason you may have. Next up, certificate. So we will be making a certificate available for those who attended the live session. I'll be sending that out. Keep your eye out over the coming, couple of days between tomorrow and early next week. I'll be sending that out, as well as the show notes email. So within that email, will take you a link up to our show notes blog post area. My goodness, guys, I can't speak today. And that will be made available for you if you want to, share this with your, colleagues or any of the resources you want to share out. Everything will be there for you. Okay. Last but not least, if you're having any issues with Zoom, please do seek support.zoom.us. They are the best people who know their product the best. So please do reach out to them if you're having any issues, because they will actually be able to support you so much better than myself. Okay. Next up If you've never ever heard of us, before we do dive into the fun stuff of today, but I always wanted to make sure to get this guy in here. If you've never heard of us before, we are a childcare app that you can use in your classroom and in your center. If you're a teacher and you're looking for, a place to share content with mom and dad, whether that be lesson planning, what's going on in the classroom, tracking learning and development, any of those great things, assessments, you can actually do that through Hi Mama, as well as if you are a director owner and you're looking for some of the businessy sides of things, we also have that available for you. So anything from billing to just, the ongoing workings of the center that's always there. We'd love to chat with you. So please don't be shy, reach on out to us. I'm going to get Kaya to pop in a link to the chat there, and we can actually schedule up some time as you talk with one of our fabulous team members. And I'd love for you to do so and tell them myself or Kaya sent you. Okay. Don't be shy to do so. And know that I know many Hi Mama customers join us, and they can definitely rave. We have an amazing support team that's here to help you out no matter what, as well as all the resources that we have available, ranging from the podcast to our webinars, to our articles, our activities, you name it. There's tons out there for you. And we try to make sure to make everything as available and in a variety of ways. So please don't be shy to check out all the resources we have as well. Great. All right, let's jump in. Before we do jump into all the fun of today and welcome on our special guest, I'm Ria. I'm one of the community ambassadors here at Hi Mama. I work on our team here and help give you these fantastic webinars, and as well, just give you a bit more voice on what's happening out here in the education space. But on the chat, most importantly, my colleague, my partner in crime, Kaya, she is here helping you out. Kaya, I don't have any fun facts for today, but it's just this week's been beautiful. I've really been enjoying the sun. What about you?
Yeah, I've been enjoying the sun. I love the heat. I know a lot of people don't like summer, but I'm the person that thrives in summer and like completely despises winter. So any other summer fans out there, say hi to me. I'm all about the heat. So I'm very happy it's finally feeling like summer here in Toronto. Come say hi to me on the chat. I'm super excited for our guests. We absolutely love Stephanie and Diana. They're really great friends of ours. So I'm super excited for today's session.
I am as well. And like Kaya said, please do say hi to her on the chat as well. If you have any questions, pop them into the Q&A. Kaya gets those over to myself so that we can make sure to answer them. Before we dive in, we're talking today about kindergarten readiness. We'd love to know a little bit more about what you do at your center to get those kiddos ready for kindergarten, and a little bit about yourself. So there's a poll there. You can go ahead and click on. There's a couple of questions. We'd love to know. Are you doing online documentation? Are you guys still doing paper? I know for myself, we did a fair amount of paper when I was working in the classroom. Are you using an app? And I know some centers maybe don't officially track it. It's totally cool. I know that in some places you're supposed to, some places you don't really have to. It all depends on the breakdown of your center, of course. So give you guys a minute or two more here just to get that checked in, and then we're going to jump into our introductions here. Fantastic, guys. Tons of people. I would say we're heavy between online and paper documents. Very much so. All right, 5 more seconds here. Get you guys a minute here. Oh, it's going up fast. Oh, we have a couple of sun goddesses in the chat replying here to Kaya. I love it. I love it. For folks who are just joining, before we do dive into the great stuff, make sure just to change your chat up to all panelists, all attendees. One more second here, folks. Just to answer up. Tons of you still, a combination of paper documents, online documentation. Excellent. All right, I'm going to end up the polling now. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to hand it over here to our special guests. Welcome on, Diana and Stephanie. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today and being a part of today. If folks missed it last time, both of you talked about virtual learning and play to grow, and why you guys started. Of course, COVID was a huge impact. Maybe before we dive into the fun of today, tell us each a little bit about yourself and a little bit about play to grow.
For sure. So my name is Stephanie. I'm the co-founder and director of Play to Grow. I got to start that business with my lovely friend Diana, and I've been working in the early childhood education space for just over 5 years. And both Diana and I realized while we were reopening the center that we worked at that there was a huge need for children in their early years to have a different method of learning, because we saw a lot of parents, a lot of families uncomfortable with the thought of bringing their children back to group care. And we really took a dive with it, and we started Play to Grow, and we've been doing it for 8 months now. Oh my goodness. We've been doing Play to Grow for 8 months now, and it's been amazing. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah. I'm Diana. I'm the co-founder and director of Play to Grow. Also, pretty much covered everything about why we started Play to Grow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. We're talking a little bit more about kindergarten readiness, and for many of the folks, we get to have a nice conversation before we start up the webinar. And of course, here in Ontario, there's a question of whether we go back to school. Our children, our school-age children, have not gone back to school yet. They've been doing virtual learning for quite a while now, and the question of going back to school is definitely now on the board. And to be talking about those kiddos who are going to school in September, I think, is a big thing. So I'm going to hand it over to you. You guys should have some power. I'm going to stop talking, let you get into the fun of it. And like I said, folks, any questions that do come up, please do pop them in, and we'll chat with Diana and Stephanie in a little bit. Take her away, ladies.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Let's just make sure we have some control here. Let's see. Can I? Oh no. Maybe if we, did I go? I think this is it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I think we got it working. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello again. Today we're going to be talking about kindergarten readiness, and what Diana and I have really been focusing on while planning for this webinar, as well as we've done an Instagram Live with Hi Mama, and as well as creating what we're going to talk about today, was a different approach to getting your child kindergarten ready. It's very innovative. It's very reflective, and we're extremely excited to talk about it today. But with that being said, we want to know from everyone who's with us today, what do you think of when you hear of kindergarten readiness? Because to us and to someone else, and even when we think about what it was like for us as children, what kindergarten readiness looked like was extremely different from what we value now as adults, as educators. So we'd love to hear in the chat what you guys think of when you hear kindergarten readiness. So we have our chat open. Let's see some.
Preparedness, social, emotional.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a big one. Self-help.
Self-regulation. Yep.
School should be ready for all children. That's a very interesting point. I can't wait to talk about that.
It's interesting that some of you are also talking about the academic side of things.
Yeah. Emotional maturity, that's for sure. I'm seeing a lot about the social aspect of it, and that's huge. Oh my goodness, so many responses
coming fast. Confidence.
Yeah. Self-help.
Developmental skills. Yep.
I feel like there's a bit of a divide. There's a lot of people who are focusing a lot on the academics, and some others who are focusing on more of like the social emotional aspect of being ready.
That probably comes from where you are in the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No academics. Okay. On the first day. These are all awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Hearing. Interesting. I've never heard that one. Hearing and eye exams.
Over-prepared.
These are all great answers, guys. We'll give it about another minute or so.
Yeah.
Children are. Yeah. Taking turns. Bus rules. Awesome.
So hard to keep up.
I know.
We're all just typing away.
Yeah, but I think what we're seeing is, and I think it has a lot to do with what you said, where you are in the world, it's a lot different. It varies. So you have a lot that are focusing on the social skills, how emotionally ready they are. Then there's others who are like, do they know their alphabet? Can they write their name? So that's something that we're definitely going to dive into with our webinar today. Awesome. These are all great. You can keep them coming. Let me see if I can get, there we go. Okay. So We have created something called R.E.A.D.Y, Ready, and it's basically a parental guide and workbook that inspires a more reflective approach to getting your child ready for kindergarten. So I know that there's a lot of families, a lot of educators, depending on where you are, that may view kindergarten readiness as simply, can they write their name? Do they know their alphabet? Do they know their numbers? And while some of that is important, Ready focuses a lot more on getting your child socially and emotionally ready for kindergarten. So Ready is over 25 pages of information. It has a ton of reflective opportunities, and there is an abundance of tips. And that's essentially what we're going to dive into today while we talk about kindergarten readiness. And then there's a bit of a surprise at the end. So I hope you will stick around, and we can't wait to dive in. Before we get started, this is very important because I know Hi Mom is notorious for having people all over the world. It's so awesome to see. But we just wanted to make the disclaimer that we are speaking from the perspective of registered early childhood educators that are based in Ontario, Canada. We have sent and we are preparing to send children off to school from a childcare / virtual learning standpoint. So we can't necessarily speak on behalf of teachers, educators, and ECs that work within the schools or educators that work in other provinces in other countries. But we do feel that Ready is something that can be applied across the board. Just some of it might be more focused on the teaching styles that pertain to Ontario. So just to keep that in mind. Oh, yes. And then, so I thought I'd start it off with a little bit of a quote, something that has really resonated with us as we sort of created Ready, and something that I think is really important to consider when you're in this process of getting your child ready for kindergarten. So the quote is, "Slow down. I promise your child will learn to write their name and count to 10 when they are ready. Instead, let's work on resilience, independence, perseverance, and happiness, all of which are nurtured through play." And that is a quote by Sally Wright. And I feel like that's a really good preface to what Ready is sort of all about. And I love it that people love this quote, because that's real. It's gonna become very evident throughout the workbook / guide. So very excited. Oh, that's awesome. This is beautiful. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So let's dive into it. All right. I'll just get this up here.
Perfect. Okay, so first off, our letter is R. So we said R is for regulation. So children begin to develop self-regulation skills from a young age. Starting all the way from infancy, children develop these skills through the relationships that they have with other people. They'll typically look to their caregivers or other educators to see what around them to help them. So their relationships and their environment directly affect how they self-regulate. So then we put a couple of questions to kind of help get you thinking and get parents thinking. So does your child know how to self-regulate on their own? Do you know how to self-regulate and express your own emotions so your child can see that? Because your child will learn best from you or the other educators that they see at a young age. So what does their self-regulation look like, and is it similar to yours?
Awesome.
Then we have a couple tips that you could try to help them with self-regulation. So don't be afraid to talk about emotions. In our learning sessions, we're always talking about emotions. It's so important to see what they think an emotion is and what it looks like to them versus what it may look like to us. And everybody views their emotions in a different way. So it's important to emphasize that everybody has their own emotions. You may not be happy that you have something, but that's okay because there's another emotion you may feel. So children also have big feelings. So if they're struggling with this, you can encourage them to identify the feeling and to help them learn what tips they may need to help self-regulate on their own. So then when they go to school, they'll be able to do that on their own without you being there.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to E, we have E is for expectation. And we really thought long and hard about how to go about this idea. So essentially, what we said is how children spent the last 4 years learning will greatly influence how quickly and easily they adapt to kindergarten. And I think what we mean by this is if your child has been at home for the past 4 years, or they've been in group care for the past 4 years, or they've had a nanny for the past 4 years, how they've learned throughout those experiences will sort of help you gauge, not entirely, but how easy it'll be for them to transition into kindergarten. Um, Especially because a child who spent the last 4 years with their nanny won't have the same social opportunities that somebody in group care may have. So I think that's important to know, something that's important to reflect on. And I know it's difficult right now, especially because of COVID, but finding different opportunities um, to give your child that sense, that ability to socialize with others, whether it be other children, other adults, because realistically they go into kindergarten, they're in a room full of 20, 30 kids. I love that, that they just mentioned that, because that's in our workbook. Children are born into the world very eager to learn. Therefore, eagerness to learn comes pretty naturally for children, as it was mentioned in the chat. This is why you'll constantly see children exploring their environment, learning and practicing to communicate, and they quickly develop their own sense of the world around them because of that eagerness to learn. That's very, very true. So when you think about what your child's expectation of learning is, think to yourself, does my child continue to seek out opportunities to learn? And am I providing provocations that promote deeper thinking? Especially right now, we know there's a lot of children that are at home with their parents. So think about what your environment is. Absolutely, what your environment is inspiring, and what you're doing to possibly help with their expectation of learning. So like we said, R.E.A.D.Y is a very reflective piece. So of course we have some questions for you to reflect on when it comes to your child's expectation of learning. So think to yourself, what has my child's experience been of learning thus far? Like I said, it'll be very different for everyone, depending on what kind of care they had, whether they were at home with you, had a nanny, in group care, or whatever it may be, it will directly affect that. What method of learning have they been exposed to? Group care, were they at home? Were they in a virtual learning program? Because us now being on the virtual side of things, we can see how there would be a difference, despite the fact that we try to cultivate a environment that's very similar to being in the classroom. We know that it'll still be different for somebody who spent the last 4 years in group care, where they're seeing people in person as opposed to virtually. That's great, Catherine. You're right. Yes. And awesome. So again, something else to think about was what style of teaching was used. I know this will vary throughout the province, throughout the country, throughout the countries. But have they been exposed to theme-based learning, play-based learning? Did they use a lot of worksheets? Was it structured? Was it unstructured? Because in terms of like where we're from in Ontario, we know that the full day kindergarten program is play-based. So if your child hasn't been exposed to that, it'll take them a little bit longer to adapt to that style of learning. So it's important to reflect on what your child's been exposed to so far. And how have they responded to those different methods of learning? Because some children like the way they learn, some children don't, and it's important to constantly reevaluate and change for the needs and interests of the children. Absolutely. Ginger just said that knowing the child's learning style is very important. Absolutely. So yeah, some food for thought, especially in regard what I kind of just said. In Ontario, the full day kindergarten program is play-based. So if your child hasn't been exposed to something like that, try and incorporate opportunities for them to experience a play-based curriculum. There's so many programs even now that will that do play-based learning, even virtual learning programs as well. So there are still options even right now during COVID. I know because we have people from all over the world. Let us know if you're play-based or what kind of learning style is being used in your center or in your schools. We'd love to know. Awesome. Reggio, yeah, play. Oh, lots of play-based. Love that. Okay, we have an R.E.C. in Ontario.
Oh, wow.
High scope. Beautiful.
Lots more play-based than I expected.
Yes. That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, I'm pretty shocked about the amount of people that said play-based, but that's pretty good to hear because I feel like that'll tie in nicely with R.E.A.D.Y. Awesome.
So the next letter, A, for adaptability. So adaptability in children is crucial for their success, not only in their early years, but as they go on for the rest of their life. Helping children learn to be flexible and adaptable will help them do better when unexpected and inevitable changes come their way. Like right now with COVID, everything is unexpected, unfortunately. So you just have to, us as adults need to learn how to be ready to be adaptable at any point in time, which I'm sure children have been learning this past year as well, because lots have changed for them too.
Mm-hmm.
So some questions to think about. There we go. Some questions to think about when it comes to adaptability and reflection is, how does your child adapt to situations when you're not present? Is your child able to adapt on their own? Do they look to you for support? How does that work? How does your child react to change in schedule? That's a huge one. So do you have a set schedule in your center or at home? If not, maybe it might be worth it, especially if they're heading off to kindergarten in September, to change it up a bit, just to see if they're able to adapt with it or how they react with it. And do you have strategies to prepare your child for a change, whether that be location, schedule, routine, so many different things they need to be adaptable on. So then some points to ponder when it comes to adaptability is, let your child fail, because you won't always be there to pick them back up and let them try and help them up. You have to let them try on their own. So children become adaptable and resilient when they are faced with challenges. So failing allows them the opportunity to seek out their own answers so they can adapt on their own. So something that we've noticed in our virtual learning sessions is that if a child is struggling to do something, we'll often encourage them, even though we're not with them in person. We'll often say like, oh, did you try this? What about trying this? Which is super helpful to see. And sometimes it's great when the parents take a step back, just so we can kind of see if the child's able to do it on their own, or if often we see them look off to the camera to look for the answers because they don't want to be wrong. Yeah. But it's okay if they're wrong. That's what learning is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I was thinking about that time in our physical classroom with the child with the scissors.
Yes.
And I think we got into it a bit in our Instagram live. We had a child who had a really difficult time with scissors and would typically start cutting, would realize that they would say, I can't do it. And they'd be like, now you do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, especially when I think of like getting ready to leave in the morning, parents and educators and teachers, they're so quick to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it so we can get it over with. But allowing the time and space for a child to explore and kind of figure it out on their own is going to help them in the long run. Because we've seen that child with the scissors, we sort of took a step back and they quickly realized that, okay, well, I can actually figure this out on my own. And very, very quickly, they were able to do it entirely on themselves. And they feel a real sense of accomplishment when they're able to do it on their own. It's not the same when they get help from their educators or their caregivers, parents. So yeah, just something to think about. So now D is for dependency. And this one is a tricky one, I know, but awesome. But I'm happy to dive into it. So D is for dependency. So parents, caregivers, and guardians must uphold their responsibility of allowing their child to be dependent. However, as natural as dependency is, it is equally as natural for children to grow out of dependence. That's what happens as they get older. They learn to be more independent. It almost comes naturally for them. So we understand that children in their early years do need to depend on their caregivers for certain things, but just always remember that it's also natural for them to grow out of that. So sort of like how we just mentioned, it's important that children are given the space to explore different situations and environments, and allow them to practice problem solving on their own, and also give them opportunities to be independent. So when it comes to reflecting on dependency, I feel like there's so many questions that you could go over when it comes to dependency. Absolutely, that's a great one. Ginger in the chat just said, just be sure to monitor frustration level. It's okay to assist and guide without actually doing the task for them. Absolutely, that's very true. So some reflecting questions for you when it comes to dependency. Do I encourage my child to be independent? And that kind of comes back to the situation with like getting ready. And educators, teachers, parents can be very quick to say, okay, well, I'm just going to do it because we got to get out the door. But are you allowing yourself and your child the time and space to allow them to practice being independent? Do you encourage them? So instead of quickly being like, I'm just going to do it, are you guiding them through the process of promoting independence? So that's a huge one. How long can my child engage in uninterrupted independent play? That's a pretty good indicator of their dependency level, because children, they love to play with others, but also absolutely. But it's important that they're able to engage in uninterrupted independent play as well. It's a huge turning point in their play experience. Another thing is there anything that I'm doing that can be hindering my child from being more independent? And I think that goes back to sort of what Diana was saying in our virtual learning program, when a child is having a difficult time with, thinking of an answer or trying to figure out what to do, and they instantly look to the side. And while it's important for us to be able to guide them through certain things, it's also important that we don't hinder them from figuring it out on their own, because that's how they're going to grow. And another big one is, does my child search for me when they're faced with problems, or have they demonstrated their ability to problem solve on their own? So problem solving is a huge one when it comes to dependency. Are they dependent on you to problem solve for them? And have you taken advantage of opportunities to teach them how to problem solve on their own? In terms of helpful hints for dependency, similar to what I've been reiterating, allow yourself and your child the time and space for you to step back and for them to be more independent. And somebody had actually mentioned this in the chat. By doing this, you are raising children who view themselves as capable and confident of doing things on their own. So it's really a domino effect. It's not just life skills. It's really going to help their social, emotional well-being by allowing them opportunities to do things on their own. Some things you have to consider the circumstances when you're providing these opportunities for your child to be more independent. If your child is sick, if your child is tired, it may not be the greatest time to introduce new responsibilities or expectations. Absolutely. So really always reevaluate the situation. And again, it sort of goes back to also monitoring their frustration level as well. When it comes to getting your child kindergarten ready, there's a lot of things that you think about when it comes to things that they should be independent and able to do on their own. Getting themselves ready to go outside, getting themselves undressed when they come inside, going to the bathroom, washing their hands and stuff like that, cleaning up after themselves. That's perfect, Carmen. So create a priority list. Right now is a perfect time. Create a priority list and tackle one skill at a time. Trying to cram a bunch of them at the same time will only overwhelm your child, and it will actually make them regress. Yeah, potty training as well, when they go to the bathroom. So by cramming them all into a short time, it's not going to do your child any good. So sort of make a priority list. You have the time now until September, to allow them to tackle kind of each skill at a time. And once your child has mastered a new skill, make a conscious effort to follow through with it. So something that we can say in our physical classroom, we've been really helping them with zipping up their jacket. This is a huge thing, is they'll try it once and it's, oh, well, I don't want to do it. But we've seen our children master zipping up their jacket on their own. And now that we know they can and they know they can, we always follow through with it.
Yeah.
So now when they get ready, if they're struggling a bit and they're quick to say, okay, well, I don't want to do it anymore, we encourage them the same way that we said earlier. We encourage them to keep trying and we remind them, you've done it yourself. You know how to do it yourself. And if there's ever anything hindering them from being able to zip up their jacket, we sometimes address what might be the problem, and they usually can figure out how to problem solve on their own. So that's important as well.
Absolutely. And Denise just said, make sure that your schedule is very flexible to allow children to practice those self-help skills themselves.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Then our last letter, Y. We had a hard time thinking about this one.
Yeah.
Took us quite a while. It was the very last letter we came up with. But are you ready? Are you ready to send them off? So they're headed off to kindergarten. That's a huge milestone for them, but that's a huge milestone for you as well. Your child's now headed off to kindergarten. So there's going to be a flood of emotions for your child, for you. It's important to acknowledge this. Tell them how you feel as well, so they know it's okay if they're sad to be leaving you or to be leaving the center they've been at for the last few years. But it's okay because they're going to go make new friends. They're going to see new teachers. So it's okay if you're upset and they're upset. But they need to know how you feel, so they know that it's okay how they're feeling. So then, some of the reflection questions is, are you ready to send your child to kindergarten and embark on the new chapter in their life? How have you prepared for the changes? I see someone in the chat just said, so ECs do all this stuff to develop self-help skills. And yeah, ECs do definitely help with that, but it also is super important for the parents at home to continue on. So if the kids in the center are being told to do it themselves and then they go home and the parents do it for them, they're not really going to grow from that, because they're going to know, well, if I just go to mom or dad, they'll do it for me anyways.
Yeah. That's why communication between educators, teachers, and parents and families is so important, because then there's a continuity between the home and school or center. So definitely that's super important.
And then how can you and your child support each other through the change? Mm-hmm. So some insights and understandings as we go through you. So be honest with how you're feeling. Communicate it with your child, like we said. It'll help them know they're not alone. When they officially head off to school, we had this question a lot. Mm-hmm. It's okay if your child cries, but it's also okay if they don't cry. Yep. It's okay if you cry. It's okay if you don't cry. We had that question come up a lot during the live, I remember.
Yeah.
And it's super important. So you feel comfortable sending your child. It might be hard right now due to COVID, but familiarize yourself with the environment, the school. Maybe go for a walk with your family to see where the school is, to see where the playground might be. Maybe if possible, hopefully in the summer, teachers will be able to kind of maybe do a Zoom meet with their students, so they're able to meet them in person before.
Yeah, that's so true. I think about how some of our children in our virtual learning program, we've had parents tell us that their children think that we're going to be their teachers when they go to school. Yeah. And that got my brain going. And I'm like, well, because I know one of them told us that they had gone for a drive by their child's new school, and they said, "Oh, we're going to see Miss Stephanie, Miss Diana there." And she, they had the talk, and they said, "No, you're going to have new teachers, you're going to have new friends," and they were able to have this open communication. But I almost think if that opportunity didn't present itself, would the child have gone into kindergarten thinking that we'd be their teachers? And that's not a good situation to be in. I actually saw somewhere in the chat about a situation where an REC in Ontario sent their 3.5-year-olds, and realized that kids are so resilient. And I think that's something that's become very, very evident throughout the pandemic, especially, is how resilient children are. And I think it's actually been very inspiring to us as educators. I'm sure to a lot of adults. I see the way children have been able to handle the ongoing pandemic, and I'm like, I wish I was more like you. You know what I mean? They're so resilient. So that's so true. We try to take our daughter to the school playground. That's perfect. Taking them to the playground, showing them around, especially right now, because there is that problem with you can't go inside. Yeah. It's difficult, but going to the playground, just showing them around is awesome. That's perfect. So that's sort of ready in a very short form.
Yeah.
There's also like a glossary, so you can understand some of the language used more. But I did see when we first started talking about R.E.A.D.Y, people want their own copy. Actually, we do a welcome to kindergarten orientation. Yeah, I know it's so difficult. But yeah, we saw people want their own copy of R.E.A.D.Y. We saw somebody ask, how much can I buy it for? To thank you for joining us today, we want to give it to you for free. So all you have to do to get your own copy of R.E.A.D.Y is, let me put it up here. Follow us on Instagram at Play to Grow, PLAYTOGROW, and send us a direct message with the word R.E.A.D.Y. We will check, make sure you're following, and we will send you it completely for free.
Yeah.
I saw, Caroline, you don't have Instagram. If you have Facebook, you can do that as well.
You can also just send us an email as well.
Yeah, playtogrow20@gmail.com.
Yes.
However you want to get it, we want to give it to you for free. We want to thank you. If you're not on Instagram, send us a message on Facebook. Yeah, email us. We just want to give you it for free.
Just make sure, I see some of you saying ready in the chat. We won't be able to check this chat after and see who said it. So just make sure to either DM us on Instagram, message us on Facebook, email us, playtogrow20@gmail.com.
There we go. I wrote it to the wrong one. Oh yeah, okay. I put the email in the chat. So if you don't have Instagram or Facebook, you can just send us an email as well, and we will get this over to you, because we'd love for you guys to have it. Whether you're a parent or an educator, you can share it with your families who may have children going to school. We want you to be able to share this with whoever needs it. So
absolutely,
we'll be keeping an eye out for that.
You guys are about to get flooded.
I can feel the vibration is going off right now.
It will be fantastic. For those who maybe missed it, Kaya maybe reposted again. She did all three, I believe. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, and there was the email to get in contact with you guys. So we'll make sure that gets out there. That's for sure. Ladies, that was amazing. How do you feel after all of that fun?
Like I need a drink of water.
I want to say, first off, for everyone in the chat, thank you for all the participation. That has been absolutely fantastic. I love seeing that. I'm also overwhelmed by the amount of folks who do play to learn and are in that area. I love all of that. It's very much where I get directed. So let's have some questions. I'm excited. We have a couple of good ones here for you. Before we do jump into any additional questions, though, let's pop to Facebook after, if we don't maybe get a chance to cover them all. Steph and Diana, will you guys be able to just to jump on? I can tag you and we can pop some questions in if we don't cover them all, if that would be good with you guys.
Absolutely.
And let's start with some questions here. I got to pull them up. There's a list. I don't know if I'll be able to get them. Holy moly, guys. Okay. Then my first go on here. And then of course the chat's going off. It's all good. Remember, folks, if you do put it in this Zoom, the word ready, we won't be able to get it to you. Please do opt to either Instagram, Facebook, or their email to get that lovely book. I'm going to do it myself. Okay. So couple of great questions. Let's talk a little more about parents. I resonated with so much that you guys were saying, and very much so that I think there's a big a big thing between those social emotional skills that are super, super important, as well as those basic skills, just as they do enter, it's very much something that you kind of have to balance in so many different ways. And like everyone, we'd mentioned, and it came through on the chat, here in Ontario, we have 3-year-olds who do go off to kindergarten. They have to turn 4 by the end of December. But to think about a 3-year-old going into kindergarten is still mind-blowing for me. So parents, how do we prepare some parents? So the question is, and it's a little long, so bear with me for a sec. Okay. What should we relay to parents whose children may be transitioning from virtual preschool to their physical kindergarten classroom come the fall?
Do you want to take it, or
you can go for it?
Okay.
I see what's happening here.
I've definitely thought of that. I've sent off children who are 3 to kindergarten, and it's mind-boggling for me. But I know, even from a virtual learning standpoint, that there's a lot of children who their only preschool experience will be our virtual learning program, and now they're going into full day kindergarten in person. I think to prepare parents for that, I think one thing is to sort of reiterate that that just because they weren't in person, they were given opportunities to socialize, and the virtual learning program in itself was very beneficial. So I think it's very important that they understand that. I know that some parents might think, oh, well, maybe I didn't do right by my child because I didn't send them to group care. And it's okay. You made the right decision for your family. So I think that's important. In terms of preparing your child to go to an in-person situation, again, it's so hard right now because of COVID. But continue on with the virtual learning program for as long as you can. So that's for the social part, because realistically we can't see anyone, at least where we are. We can't see anyone. But even if your virtual learning program happens to end, find opportunities to have play dates with your friends' kids, whether it be like over FaceTime or Zoom, stuff like that, just to keep that social development going. And in terms of preparing parents and children for the change in routine and learning, make sure you do your research on the learning strategies that will be used in their kindergarten program, and see how you could implement that in your daily routine. Because if they're with you, they are going to look for you for opportunities to explore different ideas. So try and do your research on how the curriculum is arranged in the kindergarten program where you are, and try and see if you can implement it in some way at home. And again, get them into a routine, but also remain flexible. It's so back and forth. You want to get them into a routine because there's a routine in kindergarten, but you also want to remain flexible, so they learn about adaptability. So it's sort of back and forth, but it's difficult, but it is possible. So that would be my advice to parents with kids going to kindergarten.
And I've also seen a couple of people post in the chat, especially here in Ontario. There's a couple of early Ontario programs that are running virtually as well as Stephanie and Diana's, guys. Hello, great plug. I did it. There's so many things that are out there, and then the idea around too is at least getting them to socialize in ways that's possible right now. And of course, we have to be a little bit more creative. I actually want to talk a little bit more about the virtual side of things, and actually with those children who are currently doing virtual learning for whatever aspect, or whether they be young, whether they be maybe that little bit older. How maybe any tips around how can we allow children to fail and learn from doing their virtual learning when the parent is behind them giving the answer? This is a hard one.
Go for it.
Stephanie's like, okay, Diana.
I'll take this one. And disclaimer, this is not to any of our parents. I know we have a lot on here.
And I can see some.
They're all scrutinizing you now.
We've noticed that it's been super hard, because there are some of them that have been with us since October, that have been with us the full 8 months, and they know the routine. They know what they're doing. They know the answers, but they also know that mom or dad's right there. So if I don't know, I'm just going to look to them and give them the answer. So the suggestion to the parents would be to just take a step back. Plug for us, but our Monday and Friday sessions, you kind of don't need a parent close by. Just set your child up in front of the screen, and then you can actually walk away. We have some that go do the laundry, go make lunch. Like, we have some that just step away.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see how different they are with their parent there and when their parent's not there. We
Yeah.
always actually talk after, and we're like, did you notice so-and-so's parent wasn't there today and they were able to answer all the questions?
Yeah.
So it's just super interesting. So we encourage that if they are in a virtual learning program, to take a step back, especially the last few months before they head off to school.
Mhm.
Our virtual learning program is for ages 3 to 6.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat just asked.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to what you said, is that I know when it's in your, it's difficult, because how do you tell a parent you got to step away when they're in their own home?
Yeah.
But like Victoria just said, kids are always different with parents versus educators. And
Yes.
we've seen it firsthand. And I think it's almost strange, because sometimes children can almost be shy when their parents are in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they're in their learning space. But then we've seen like a parent step out and they're like out of their shell, and they want to answer everything, and they want to be in everything. So, and I get why parents also want to be there, but make sure that there is, that you give the opportunity to step back and allow them to take the lead in their learning. And I think that's really important when it comes to virtual learning, is that you're letting the child take the lead as well.
Absolutely. And R.E.A., before the next question, there's just a lot of comments here about how they can join Play to Grow.
Yeah.
So can I just quickly?
Please. I was going to say, please do. There's a couple of great questions, so I think this is the best time to go ahead and plug away.
Okay, perfect. So Play to Grow is a virtual learning session. We run daily sessions, Monday to, actually, I almost said Friday, Monday to Saturday.
Yeah.
So Monday is kind of like a circle time. Tuesday, we go over more math. Wednesday, science. Thursday, art. Friday is like a story time. Saturday, we alternate between either a cooking class or kind of like a move and groove, a dance class.
Oh,
yeah, that's
I'm
new
coming.
Yeah. Adults like to join in too.
Yeah, parents will join all the time. It's amazing. It's $7 per session, but if you go to our Instagram or Facebook, you can also see the program descriptions, as well as we offer a June subscription that actually will be closing this weekend. So if you're interested, go check that out.
Check it out.
Perfect. All right. I think we have time for one more question, then we do have a couple. So I think what we'll do is we'll transfer on over here to Facebook for, 5 or so minutes, and I'll pop a couple of questions in for you lovely ladies. But let's talk about a couple of children. We know that, especially here in Ontario, children have been virtually learning for, I've forgotten since when. And it's, of course, hopefully in September, we're looking at going back, and hopefully sooner, but on the same side, we know that might not be a possibility. But let's talk about any tips around just school-age children in general right now as they do transition back to the classroom come the fall.
Go ahead.
Do you want to take it? No? Okay. Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Sure, yeah. Any tips for those children who are on virtual learning right now and heading back to school in September? So any age, we'll say, school age wise.
Yeah. It'll definitely be difficult, and I can appreciate that, especially in Ontario, where children have spent majority of the school year at home. Mm-hmm. So my tips for any school age child would probably be to allow themselves the time to readapt. Yeah. That's why even when I think about the potential of schools reopening for the past 3 weeks, it's sort of why would we do such a thing? Because for any child, it takes time to transition. And I think for any school age child and parents, especially with younger ones, to make sure that they know that it's okay to have time to readjust to being in person, because while they get to see a lot of the people that they'd be with online, heading into a room with all these bodies around you now can be very overwhelming. I think about it as an adult.
Yeah.
When I happen to end up in a group of people and I'm like, whoa, like this is a lot, so just encouraging them to allow themselves to sort of readjust to it, and give yourself grace, because it's going to be tough. And I would just say allowing the time and space to readjust, because it's going to be completely different now. Even I wouldn't even say we're going back into a normal sense of being in person. It's going to be different as well. So, and it's going to be a readjustment for teachers, educators, students. And I think it's important that we all we all kind of lean on each other for that because everyone's going to be readjusting.
And just to piggyback on that, even kindergartners who this has been their normal, they don't even know what normal is.
Yep.
They're
That is so true.
Yeah, they're so used to being apart, stay apart, wear your mask. So for them eventually to come together into a group setting with no masks potentially, like it'll
Hopefully.
be totally different. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Any last pieces of advice, words of wisdom, happy thoughts you want to leave the fantastic crew with today?
Thank you for joining us. I did actually take a peek at the number down there. Shouldn't have.
Why would you do that?
But I did. And there was a lot of people. And we had the chat box open the entire time. And just thank you to everybody for coming out this afternoon for the hour and like talking with us. And like R.E.A.D. said, being so participatory.
Yeah.
We could not have done this without everybody's feedback and participation. So thank you.
Yeah, that's been fantastic. What would I leave with? I think even somebody had just mentioned have faith in the educators. I know that it can be very it's not reassuring for families sending their children into kindergarten right now because of the unknown. Heading back to school I know is difficult. Have faith in the educators, have faith in the teachers, and have faith in yourself as parents, that your child is resilient enough to get through it and that you guys can work collaboratively to get them through it. We're all in the same boat and we're going to get through this. And that's what I'd like to leave with.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much from everyone at Hi Mama, from everyone on the chat. You're getting tons of love. You can see it. It's coming through right now. Everything that Play to Grow does and has been doing to support the children as we've been going through COVID and as you guys grow too, as you grow into whatever the next phase of it may be. I'm excited to see. So thank you so much for joining us once again. I'm going to get Kaya, if you can just pop in. If you guys would like to get a copy of R.E.A.D.Y, you can do so. Here, you can do, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Pop there if you want to pop it into the chat once again, so you can follow on Instagram and direct message R.E.A.D.Y. Make sure I get this right. Do the same so on Facebook. And if you guys don't have any of that, you can email them at playtogrow20, all one word, at gmail.com.
Yes. And it is entirely free. I've seen a few questions. Maybe they joined in after. There's no cost. We want to give it to you for free as a thank you for joining us.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in to wrap up. Diana, Stephanie, I'll see you guys on Facebook. I'll do a little post here in a second, so please do join us. I'll tag you. But if you had any questions and you want to pop on Facebook and please tag them as well. We'll get you guys in there for any potential questions that didn't get answered. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us once again today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's wrap up in this fabulous Thursday afternoon. Recordings, please do watch your show notes. They'll be coming out early next week, your certificate as well. So if you're with us with the live session, you'll be able to get so. And then next week, we're talking about the science of playful learning. I'm really excited for this session. I'm excited for every session. Kai, I don't know if there's a session I've never been excited about. Is there anything we might be missing from today, Kaya?
No, it was such a great session. So excited to have everyone here and our friends from Play to Grow. They're wonderful to work with. We've worked with them quite a lot. They're fantastic educators. So huge shout out to them. And if you haven't already, check out their social media, Play to Grow. And on Facebook, Play to Grow 20, Instagram, Play to Grow. And then you can always email them to get the R.E.A.D.Y booklet. So I will pop that in the chat one more time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kaya, as well. Don't forget to follow us on social media along with Diana and Stephanie with their Play to Grow. Our Circle Time group, if you're not a part of it, active users on our group. So we'd love to be having great conversation there. There's our regular Facebook, our Instagram. There's our podcast. If you like a good listen, there's some great podcast pieces on there done with our CEO, Ron himself. He does them weekly, folks. So please do give a listen. On behalf of everyone at Hi Mama, please do stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're in this together and we can't wait to see you next week. So take care all. Bye.